All right, we'll call to order. Exactly 6:30. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, on roll call, Mr. Bartlett.
Here.
Mrs. Brown Knight.
Here.
And Leah is going to be absent tonight. Do we need a motion to excuse her? All right, let me finish the roll call. Dr. Lewis.
Here.
Mrs. Rankin.
Here. Mrs. York.
Mr. York.
Here.
All right, I need a motion and a second to excuse Leah.
So moved. Second.
Second. Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, she's excused. All right. We have with us tonight Mr. Ken Geis, and I believe Ken is going to get up and give us a brief talk on economic development, where we are in that process.
Good evening, thank you. Again, my name's Ken Geis, and I'm a proud resident of Mariemont, and you know, I appreciate it here. I live on Spring Hill, the condominiums there, and we love it. So I just wanted to come today and give you just a brief introduction about myself and what I do, and you know, with a contract with the Village of Mariemont. So in 2005, I started my consulting business, and I run a consulting business that deals primarily with economic development and government operations. I have public clients and private clients. On the public side, right now I have active contracts with the Village of Batavia and also with Fairfield Township. Fairfield Township, I've worked for them since 2014. The Village of Batavia, I actually just entered into a contract with them recently. I have private contracts also with developers, with corporations, some large corporations. I've had contracts with UPS. I've also had contracts with small private individuals. And what I primarily do is I assist them in either framing development contracts, incentive contracts, or project development that may involve specific financing with public and private entities. And you know, I've done that since 2005, and again, had a reasonable amount of success in trying to move projects from one point to another point. For about the last 40 years, I've also been working in government. I recently left Union Township, where I worked there since off and on since 1985. I was their township administrator for a period of time, and again, I had the opportunity there to really grow and work with a lot of differing corporations and companies in that as it relates to economic development and the general operation of that. Like I said, I've been in government since 1978. I actually had the opportunity to work with Chief Hines back in the early 80s. We worked for a short stint in the village of Elmwood, and I had an opportunity to work in the village of Gulf Manor as well. But, you know, fast forward to the village of Mariemont. Mariemont, you know, I see Mariemont as, you know, a village with, you know, a rich in history and, you know, some great opportunities in that. You've had, you know, all of the residential development that you have, as well as some of the commercial and industrial development that most people that don't even live in the village probably don't even understand or even know that it's here. And as you see the communities like Mariemont, they evolve over time and things change. Some companies that have been here for a long period of time, they stay and they grow. Other companies move and they change, and you have the opportunities for different companies and corporations to move in. Where, you know, I see my benefit to the village in that is to help you foster those relationships that you have with the existing companies that you have, and maybe look to the development and redevelopment of some of the opportunities that you may have now or that you may have in the near future. Specifically, I'll just talk about Kellogg's in that. Kellogg's is a great, I think, as a resident and, a person that's in the region, I think that's a company that has a rich history in the village, and again, has been a really sort of a foundation for the village as it relates to the employment levels and the structure of their operation in this region. No one can really tell what is, in the future. If you were all soothsayers or whatever, Kellogg's could expand their operation, could get back to sort of the heyday that they were 15 years ago, or they could move on a dime in that. And you could read about them in the paper 3 months from now as, changing their operation totally in that. So I think that your approach to looking at the opportunities, making sure that all of the businesses and the operations in the village of Mariemont are that understand that you're open for business, you're willing to help them and assist them in any way that you can, and through my assistance in that, I think that sends a clear message to the community that you're interested in what is occurring in the village of Mariemont, and you're not just sitting idly by and letting time make your decisions for you. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Well, could you tell us if have you had contact with Kellogg? What does that consist of?
I've reached out to them. I haven't gotten a response from them yet, but my intent is to really try to seek out a corporate level and to have a conversation with them to see if they would provide any insight as to what their short-term goals are and maybe their long-term goals are as it relates to the village of Mariemont. Again, with the real estate that they have on that site and the employment levels that are in Mariemont, I don't think there's any question that they're an important part of the village. And I know that, Mary, you've expressed that as well as counsel to them, how important they are to the village. But I think it's also wise to at least get ahead of that and to understand if there is a plan that they're looking to make some kind of change or some movement in that you start talking to them early about anything that goes on there.
But so far, really, you haven't been able to reach high enough up the corporate ladder to basically get to the person who could address those issues or answer those questions for us.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right.
Now, of course, Kellogg only occupies, about, I don't know, a third, maybe up 40%, let's just say, of the land down there. And there are other businesses there and other options for us down there, are there not?
Yes, there certainly are other opportunities.
Well,
Sorry.
one's calling you now.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
The Kellogg's lady heard, she's
Yeah,
like,
that's right. Yeah.
better get back to
She's
him.
watching on TV or whatever. There certainly are other opportunities down there. And again, what is really important to do is the timing associated with all of those and, the control of those sites and really just trying to work with the property owners and how all of those things can come together in that regard.
Sure, yeah. Anybody else got questions? No? No?
Can I get clarification on your scope of responsibility in your role?
For the village of
Yes.
Mariemont. My role is I've been charged right now is really to talk about just the overall economic development and the opportunities that are currently available in the village for that. And my initial phase was to reach out to Kellogg's and to talk about the businesses in that particular area and to see what the framework is for the continued operation, any expansion, any enhancements that the village may be able to provide for them as well.
Okay. And so does it make sense strategically, it sounds like it does, or that we focus on one area and not the others, and not do a master plan, but to do it kind of one area at a time? That's how you recommend we approach
Well,
the process?
as it relates to the village, I don't necessarily think that you just have to focus on one particular area. I just think that that was the main focus, and that was really precipitated by
Okay.
the decision for them to scuttle one of their lines of operation and whether or not that was a signal that there were more things to come. However, in the village, I think that the village has other opportunities as well as it relates to economic development and redevelopment. I did have the opportunity to talk to the home builder down in Worcester that has the property with JA
Michael Hines?
Yeah.
Yes.
Capital, whatever. I had a conversation with him about his development and what was going on with that. And what he indicated to me was that he was going to move forward with that on his own. On that, I know there was some talk about him selling that off to some home builders in that, but he had specifically indicated to me that he was looking to develop that and that he was looking to move that project along himself in 2022.
Right, right.
Susan, Randy and Kelly and I were in the committee that recommended to hire Ken, and, we went through various options and kind of prioritized them.
Yeah.
So we decided, as we agreed and recommended, that we start focused on the industrial zone, given Kellogg's.
Yeah.
And there are other areas that we may explore further down the line, depending on, it's kind of
Right.
what happens there, then what happens next, if then,
Yeah.
kind of a
And
flow chart.
I guess my curiosity was just, do we want a master plan first and then focus on the areas? Or is it your recommendation to kind of go area by area by area? And I'm comfortable doing it. I don't know. That's why I'm asking the question of.
Well, I think that it's most prudent to look at the opportunities that are currently presenting themselves now.
Okay.
You had that industrial area,
Yeah.
you had the residential development that is sort of
Yeah.
an opportunity for that as well. But as other opportunities come to light, I think it would make sense to at least explore those and, not ignore those, because in my experience, you really don't know what exactly is going to happen, 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now. I mean, the stock market today that was down 1,000 and ended up 100
Right.
in that. So who knows what is going to occur and what's going to occur, 30 days from now.
Okay.
I think we should make it clear that one of the reasons we sort of charged you with going to Kellogg right off the bat was that,
Yeah.
it was in the news. I mean, we didn't know for sure they were losing jobs down there, and everybody wanted to know. I had a couple of meetings with their plant manager and then one of their higher corporate people, and you can't really get good answers. But we didn't want to just give up on that, and that's why we said,
Yeah.
basically, start there for right now.
Which totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, now that the crisis has passed, I was just posing the question, do you, is a bigger, and I don't know how it works, so that was why I was
I
just
think,
curious.
I think we recognize that it's underdeveloped down there. I think if we
Yeah.
see opportunity for development and growth, we're landlocked. That
Right.
seems to be the biggest opportunity for
Right.
us.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we
The whole
directed-
industrial zone.
Correct, the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
zone,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
But I don't know, you can agree that the crisis has been resolved. I think we still don't really know.
Yeah.
And that's the first step, is to find out.
Fair enough.
To the extent we can.
Yeah, we may not.
Gotcha.
We probably won't.
Not to
Gotcha.
belabor it, but to that point specifically, I would agree that you really can't tell that anything is passed or that you've averted anything in that regard. And then the second thing is, you look at your industrial plant, and I always like to point to, since we're in the Cincinnati region, I like to point to, not to be critical, but to just be realistic about different communities. If you go back into the 60s and 70s, into that, you look at communities that are in the Valley District, you look at communities like Laughlin, you look at Arlington Heights, you look at to Elmwood Place, you look at St. Bernard, and you look at the industrial development that they had. And not being critical in that, but they really didn't move on those things. As companies moved out, they just said, well, okay, someone will backfill that, and someone will take that opportunity to do that. I think that your approach is to get in front of that and to start talking about that. And then the other thing that I will say is that Mariemont is specifically poised just because of the demographics and the location of that you have an industrial area in the village. That doesn't mean that always has to remain an industrial area. That could be redeveloped into something else. It could be redeveloped into a commercial office center. It could be redeveloped into a medical office center. There are a host of different things just because the location and the demographics of Mariemont are so strong in that you have those opportunities, and to get out in front of that, I think, makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you.
Appreciate
All right,
you
any
coming in. Thank you.
questions regarding the minutes? And that'd be the minutes from the last meeting and the permanent improvement minutes that took place in the meeting just prior to the last council meeting.
There was one thing, and on the second page, when we appointed Marcy to ARB, it seems like we're saying, this says like we voted twice on her to do that? I thought we just did it once, but, because it says, Marcy wanted to stay on the ARB, had some work was not finished on roll call 6 A's, no ayes, nays. And then it says Mayor Brown said he would like to have a 7th member on ARB, and we moved and seconded to nominate Dr. Lewis again. It's like, that seems like it's redundant. I thought you're on it, and,
No, I think that was a different person, because didn't you add,
well, it says to nominate Dr. Lewis, though.
oh, I know, but didn't we add a person later?
Matt Ayer's coming on.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Ayer will be.
But that-
coming, but that's in the works, so.
But it does kind
I can clean that up.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Good catch.
I think we just want to make, for good measure.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying, if you read it right now, it sounds like we
No, I
voted
know. I-
twice
I-
to add Marcy to
I
the
got you.
committee.
Okay. Well,
No,
we can-
I see what you're saying, Rob.
All right,
Yeah.
we can probably fix that up.
I can clean that up.
All right, so a motion and a second to adopt, we can do both at once, can we?
Well, you actually probably
Do one
need
at a
to
time.
amend it and then
All right.
accept the
A
amendment.
motion to amend.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Ms. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Excuse me, Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, we'll amend. Now adopt, can we do them both?
No, you want a motion second to accept.
Both of them?
The amended.
We need a motion to accept the amended.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight? Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
Does that cover both of them? Yeah, okay. All right, in communications, we have a communication here from Chief Hines. Very much interested in getting something moved into the Finance Committee. He would like to buy a new vehicle and a couple of new tasers. Chief, you want to give us a quick,
Yes, actually, 5 tasers and a vehicle. And I'm looking at a situation right now where we may be able to save quite a bit of money on the vehicle. Even more so, I don't want to get into the figures right now, but quite a bit of money, more than what was on the request. We have one of our vehicles that's got over 100,000 miles on it. It's one of our unmarked vehicles, and we may be able to replace it and save quite a bit of money on the, I believe it was $50,000 that was on the permanent improvements minus the trade-in amount. And I talked with a dealership today, and I should have more information on that tomorrow. But if we could put that in Mr. Bartlett's committee, and hopefully have information on that when we get some firm figures on that when we get to the Finance Committee meeting.
So, sorry.
Hopefully within a week.
all right, we'll go ahead and put that in.
So I'm sorry, we're specifically talking about the vehicle, right? Because
The
the
vehicle and the
tasers have
tasers.
already been approved.
No.
No, they haven't?
No.
Just
But was
there is-
all-
there is
In the permanent improvement,
Yeah.
right,
Or
okay.
allocated.
Just to,
Yeah.
right,
Just have
just
to
to
have the
clarify
finance
that.
committee report so that we
Right,
can,
okay.
That's helpful.
is that good then?
Yeah,
within a
yeah, I'm
week?
just trying to remember, I guess we still did require a committee report? Because we said if it's been approved in the permanent improvement.
Yeah, I don't think you need a committee report at all.
I think we said, I think we said if it's, but I mean, we'd still want to, you're still going to pull the bid together and share it with council and others,
Right.
yeah.
Particulars, exactly.
But I think we said with that
Me-
process, we had the
Right.
document, we said that once it's been approved in the permanent
So he
improvement
can come in
budget.
here
You don't
next.
need to have a meeting then.
Not if it's been
Okay.
approved in the permanent improvement budget, and it
It's
was.
already been approved in our permanent improvement budget, but what they want you to do next week is come in with the particulars as to
Right.
what it's gonna cost,
Right, that's
and then
correct.
council can go ahead and vote on it, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I think we're gonna be able to
Well, we buy the
save
vehicles
quite a bit of money.
through the Ohio plan, don't we?
Well, not this one,
We're not gonna do it that way?
not this one.
Okay.
Okay, we have another request from Assistant Fire Chief Dan Copeland to 4 sets of turnout gear.
I mean, that would be the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that would be the same, we can do that the same way, because I think
Right.
we already,
Got it on your thing, right?
yeah, we already allocated for that. Okay, and you then have the annual report from Deanna, Tax Department. She's really done a lot of, it's lengthy, she's done a lot of work on this. Any questions regarding that? We can direct them straight to her. You all good with it? I mean, were there any questions? All good?
Did we budget for the overage in 21? I mean, did we, what did we budget in 21 to come in?
Did we budget for the,
Well, it looks like we had more tax dollars come in significantly more in 21 than in 20. I was just curious if our revenue budget reflected that. Or if it.
Yeah, so
was
20, we had a
surplus.
big dip, so we budgeted a lot more, but
We
with
got all
the,
that stuff.
with the COVID, people were out of work,
PPP,
and
COVID.
so we were down like 100,000. So we expected it to come back up, that things would get back to normal, and
Gotcha.
it's come back a little stronger than we expected, so.
Okay, so this isn't over budget, this is just over 2020.
Well,
But it exceeded, okay.
Right, correct. You got it.
Okay. Gotcha.
good?
Thank you.
All right, permission to address council. We have a few folks with us tonight. Good to see everybody. If anybody who would wish to get up and address council, if you wouldn't mind getting up and going to the podium, stating your name and your address, and say that somewhat slowly so that we can get it down. And I would also ask politely that you limit your remarks to 3 minutes.
You want me to set?
And I don't have mine, so
I can
I'll
set
make
it.
you the official timer if you don't mind.
No?
Please, please. Everybody gets a turn. No fighting.
Plenty of a head start here. yeah.
Heads up when I'm up there. Brad Bowers, some of you know me, I know some of you, and I haven't been to many of these meetings over the years, but roughly 15 years ago, and this is concerning the Mariemont inspection and permit that I see here. And fortunately, Matt Ayer forwarded this to me over the weekend, or I wouldn't even have known to be here or what's involved in this. And that's my main concern, having owned property here for 40 years, and some of my peers are here also. I'm not speaking for them. Indeed, we haven't even had much of a chance to talk about it. But we're just thinking, 15 years ago, in the same place, we were mentioning to the mayor at the time, when the inspection came about then, we were kind of disappointed that we didn't have an opportunity to be contacted by people from council so that we could work with people from council. And indeed, it was hammered out. It wasn't the original inspection and certification process that originally came to us. But it just seemed like a lot of waste of time, and it also kind of felt like we were dissed because we weren't contacted.
Not made part of the process is what you're
It
sort of
would have been
saying.
nice.
Uh-huh.
And everyone agreed at that time. The mayor agreed, council members agreed. Here we are 15 years later, same thing. So yeah, it's kind of this. And so there are issues, of course, that we'd like to discuss in more detail. And so that's kind of where we are. if you can help me, I'm not familiar with city government. I should be after 40 years, but as I've always said to new tenants coming in, if you're worried about me as a landlord, you can contact the mayor and ask him about me, and you can, he knows me, and the chief knows about me for good reasons. You know, it's like,
Sure.
So, and of course, Mayor Brown and I haven't had a chance to meet, so I don't say that in the last year. But I have tried to work hard, and I think most of us have here. In fact, I know we have, and others. And there's always room for improvement. And of course, a 100-year-old property is quite a challenge, as you can imagine. And trying to make things work, and the Mariemont taxes are higher than Cincinnati taxes. And one other thing that's quite a challenge, and I don't know if you're aware of this, but in many cases in the state of Ohio, if you have a property that's 4 units or above, your taxes are between 40 and 60% more than a single-family home. So you take that $600,000 piece of home that 4, 5, 6, 8, whatever, pick a number, or maybe where you live, and say, okay, well, maybe I'd have to pay 55% more in taxes. And it's not fair. Everyone agrees it's not fair. It doesn't make a good soundbite to try to change that through the state of Ohio. I'm just giving you another example. Uh-oh. Do I have 15 seconds?
Yeah. Well, I'll let the mayor decide that.
But just finish up, please.
Okay, I'm just trying to give you
That's
an example of why it's especially difficult in Mariemont. The additional taxes statewide also higher in Mariemont than other communities around here, and the older property, and it's just very difficult. So maybe you could help tell me. Again, my peers may be more fluid with this, and they might understand the process better. But where are we with this? I see it, and when I spoke to Matt Ayer about it a little bit, and fortunately he was the one that forwarded this information to me. He said it's just a reading, but then I read in here it's an emergency. Why does something like this have to be an emergency?
I tell you what, I strongly suspect that a few of these other lovely people wish to make comments about this as well. Why don't we let them make
Sure.
their comments, and then we'll try to address the issue.
I got 99% of that.
But we're not passing this on, this is not an emergency.
No, I didn't see
We're
it
not-
on an
We're not gonna
emergency,
do that.
and-
The first reading is tonight.
Well, it's on the agenda for
On
the
the
first,
agenda.
but I think we should discuss this a little bit. But come on, any of the rest of you folks want to get up and say something about
probably
this?
seeing
We'll make
this.
some
But
comments.
again, if I could just
Sure.
recap a little bit.
Sure.
What's the process from here on out? Do we have a chance to talk about things maybe on an informal basis, to have some give and take?
Yes.
And I guess that's it. Yeah. So,
I'm going to make a suggestion. I want to hear from the other folks, though, first, please.
and the emergency.
I don't think it's,
Why
yeah, I don't
an emergency? Thank you very much.
I don't think, is it on an emergency?
gotta
I don't,
tell you-
no emergency here.
Let
Well,
me address
but-
that emergency. I just noticed that it was in the bottom of the, basically,
Yeah,
we don't,
that's right.
we don't create most of these ordinances ourselves from scratch. You know, we do a lot of cutting and pasting. And I think we probably cut and pasted that emergency provision in there. We don't intend to pass it on an emergency basis, I can tell you that. So that's a good catch by you. I would think, I mean, the mayor and council can kind of explain to you more. What we try to do, you know, we put notices out of these meetings, and, you know, I think it might be a little ambitious of us to expect the citizens to go looking at these 5 bulletin boards throughout the village to see what kind of meetings are going to be held that will be of some interest to them. And maybe we can try to revamp our process so that we know who the rental property owners are, that maybe we can make an extra special effort to let them know what we're doing that may affect their businesses more than others. Again, I don't mean to talk.
Well, we
Do
do,
we-
we do have the email list too, Ed. I mean, because Joni, so we try to send those out.
Do we send notices out by email?
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the announcements for upcoming committee meetings, council
Council
meetings,
meetings.
Oh,
those
nice.
are all,
Yeah.
but the email list is maintained in the,
But Joni, could you?
The only way you get the emails if you sign up.
You gotta,
Guys,
you have to
guys,
opt in.
So
Yeah.
I want to offer,
Even aware that you had to sign up.
I want to offer a suggestion. I was wondering if, Joni, if you have an extra piece of paper, can we get anybody who's the property owner, put your name and contact information, so we can make sure that we communicate more proactively? You know,
Yeah.
coming on to this and COVID, and, you know, a lot of things fall through the crack, but, so let's get that process started, so we have that piece. Does that work? Okay.
Karen, do you
Thank
want to, you have something to say?
Do you have a piece of paper, Joni?
Okay.
My name is Mark Temming. I'm a landlord in Mariemont, as are lots of other folks here. What I'd like to recommend, Mayor and Council, and by the way, God bless you for serving on council. I know what you do is time consuming. You have to read things, you have to study, you have to bone up on various things like inspections that affect landlords. And it's largely thankless. We're probably the biggest crowd you've had at this meeting for quite a while.
Well, so far this year.
And it's the same as school board meetings, I understand. So serving your community by doing what you do, God love you.
No,
Okay,
thank you. Thank you
I don't
for
live in
that.
your community, but I own property here. And I fight school taxes every time because the reason you're having trouble keeping the cookie people, et cetera, is the differential in the reduction factors on property taxes. Let me just sum this up real quickly. We would love to help you write this ordinance. We want to comply. But I went through the ordinance today and cited a bunch of questions I had about residential rental unit. The state of Ohio, anything over 3 units is commercial property. That's why most of us have transferred our units to condominiums. So we fall back in a residential rate so that our property taxes are reduced. Mine were reduced 60% because my units became condos and they weren't commercial property rental units in apartments. But I'll serve on the committee. I'll be happy to enlist some of my fellow landlords. We want to help you write this because we want to comply. This is confusing. It uses language, residential property. You need to get specific in order for us to know what to do to meet what you want us to do. We want our units to be safe, attractive. We're proud to own rental property in Mariemont. It's the rents are substantial. The people we get as tenants are great people. But let us help you. And we may argue over some points, but believe me, I think we'll help write a better inspection regimen than, and I don't know who wrote this. It's largely fashioned on the old one, which was written maybe 30 years ago. But I'll be happy to volunteer and serve on a small committee to sit down with whoever wants to do this, say, here's how we need to do inspections, because while we want to comply, we don't want to be annoyed.
That's not what we want either.
I understand that, and that's why
if
we
this,
came
if
tonight.
this started this dialogue, then I'm all for it.
Great.
Because we definitely want a partnership.
The one point I would make, and I don't know if you're allowed to access this, we all send reports to your tax office every time we get a tenant change to tell whose earnings they're going to tax.
Right.
The last thing I would make a point on is there's a statement in here about no paper printed in Mariemont. No paper is printed in the city of Cincinnati. It's printed in Dayton. That's not an excuse for not posting this discussion in the Cincinnati Enquirer the 4 or 5 times. So I just make that point also. Thanks for your time. And I'll ask Karen to maybe gather our names and emails. She's got them all anyway, and provide those to you so we can have a subcommittee that works with you.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you for the kind remarks. No, I don't know about, it's rare. Karen, do you want to say a few things?
Karen Counsel, 3865 Beach Street. So we are here because it did say emergency reading, even though I knew it was the first. It's an issue that was brought up years ago. We've dealt with it before. We've dealt with Kirkwood before. A lot of that has been deemed unconstitutional in the state of Ohio. I've got lots of articles on it. Lots of articles on making inspections. You cannot go into somebody's private home. Even if you're a police officer, you can knock on the door and say, may we come in, but you can't just barge in. So I'd like that whole thing tabled. No more public discussions until everything is brought forward to whatever committee is working on it. so that, you know, if there's a problem, yes, we know there was a problem with Betty Blackburn's building, and that probably fueled this whole discussion again. And yes, there are a couple problem landlords, but those people have always been here. You know, the bunch of us that are here tonight, you know, I can tell you, these are all your top owners in the village. And collectively, they own a lot of the property where the taxes are coming from. So, you know, as I talked with you guys a couple months ago, and I said I was feeling very frustrated because I'm feeling so separated from you all. This is the opportunity where you've got great owners in front of you. We are willing to talk with you to try to figure out how we can continue to make Mariemont viable and not have the issues that we've run into with the Betty Blackburn's buildings and some of the other owners that aren't keeping things up. But I know you have your own issues with those people. So my only thing here is I'm hoping you can just scrap the whole thing until everybody can meet and figure out what the best thing to do is.
Great, okay, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to recommend that basically we table this amendment tonight pending possibly, did this come out of your committee? No. Randy's committee, come out of Randy's committee. Possibly we put this back into committee. Basically, we meet and partner or talk to, at the bare minimum, we talk to some of these landlords and we get a dialogue going so that we can better understand their concerns, but also we want to convey our concerns. You know, we as the village have had serious concerns about, you know, rental properties and the condition in the historic district. You know, we of course would like to be able to convey that. We just want to get a dialogue and a conversation going so that we can possibly, hopefully, reach some kind of a middle spot where we're all going to be satisfied and happy and things get better down there around the village. Does that sound agreeable?
I'm Dennis Hamilton. I own a few of those units over there in the historic district on Chestnut and Maple. I've actually owned them for 30 years. So I've seen a lot come and go. You know, the tenants are rough on our properties. There's no doubt about that. You know, I always make the statement that move in clean and move out clean is a world of difference. You know, they move out and they say, I cleaned it. And you go, oh, well, the next guy would never move in like that. So it's a task just to get them clean. Now, I think I saw something in that publication that you're going to farm this out to some outside concern. And I think that whoever that guy is, we need to talk to him and see what, you know, what his scope is. I mean, when I go through these units, and I do them all the time, I'm personally involved. I have helpers, but I pick out the things that are worse, and often I make a few enhancements and then slam it and get the tenant in. But there's always a variety of light bulbs, smoke alarms, and all that kind of stuff. But these buildings being so old, you know, your doorknobs, latches, things, you know, none of this stuff works. I get them done, but next time I come around, they're broken again. So, but I just like to see what this guy is, has he been on the property? Has he been on one of these 97-year-old relics to check it out, see what it looks like? So that's my concern. I'd like to make sure that, you know, he's not going to try to have me make this thing a 2021 piece of property. Sure. You know, that's the main thing. I mean, I've upgraded my panels 20 years ago, put central air in. there's still some of these cats over here that don't even have central air. Who in the hell doesn't have central air now? I mean, give me a break,
A lot of the world.
you know? I mean,
Listen, before,
That-
I don't mean
that's,
to, no, I understand what you're saying. I don't mean to cut you off here, but I think this is a discussion to have in the group.
Yeah.
We'll provide the opportunity for you to meet these gentlemen from XPEX who are going to be doing the inspections, can talk with the inspector, talk with them, you know, talk with us, and air out all of your thoughts and concerns.
Yeah, I'll just add, we started this, it actually was on my committee when I came on council, and I was looking at it, and the first buildings that Mary Ann Marie built were apartments. And, you know, census suggests that 38% are apartment dwellers in Mariemont, very important part of our village. So my guess is, you're here, and whatever work we might have done was probably for those landlords that are not here. So I welcome the idea. The mayor and I talked about, let's get this done, and let's do a luncheon and invite you guys in and have a dialogue about this. So I think that we can, if you're really uncomfortable with this, I have no problem with tabling it. We were just trying to do the right thing. So we'll get this, we'll get an email out, I can do it tonight. We'll get together and partner together and benefit all of our residents, and especially our rental residents.
I just want to clarify, if I pass with this now, that it's in the.
I'll finish
Well,
it.
that's a
You're gonna
clear-
finish it?
Well, that's a
Well, we
Oh, I
kind of
can't-
had this discussion.
If we're gonna move it back into committee, then yes, it's going in rules and law, but I would certainly hope, if that's the case, you would be an integral part of that conversation.
Sure.
One suggestion, because I think we also, was the fences, the metal fences.
Oh, the chain link fences.
Chain link fences. It seems like, because you guys also have a lot of chain link fences, and there was legislation, or some places do over there. Was to have, that was a conversation, it seems like you gotta have, if you're gonna meet with them.
Oh, no doubt.
Have
No
both
doubt.
let's talk both
Because that
topics.
was, that was kind of why that legislation was put in there. Because, yeah, it's still
So just
pending.
deal with both, let's talk both
Ken?
both
Yeah,
of
I
those.
would roll both names of the committee, because I think Mark's got a great idea here. We'd love your input. We want your input more than you guys think we do, because we want to make sure that you're happy and we're happy as a village. So I think it's a great idea to address both issues, as Rob says. Chain link fences, as you guys know, has been an issue around here for years and years. The law has always changed, and you don't know that?
Sorry, no
It has been.
fences, so I don't know.
The law has changed about it, you know, one time we can't get rid of them, then the next time we can't, you know, so it's been a little bit of a moving target as far as what we can do. But I think Rob said it all, let's table this thing and start
Well,
over
if we're
again.
gonna table it, and, you know, since, I mean, I think we might be different than, as you mentioned, the Blackbirds, I don't even know who they are. Are they gonna be part of this discussion? How are we gonna get them there too?
I
Because
really think that
I kind of feel like
we-
if someone's in a car accident, everybody has to pay for the insurance, you know what I mean? So
Well,
how can we get it out in everybody, you know, so
Right,
everyone is,
Can you-
I don't wanna be paying for
Well, I
someone
was-
else's faults, you
Well,
see.
I
I was
don't know.
gonna
these
reach out to
people.
Karen, or maybe Randy could, and see if we can get the names of the other owners. I mean, Chad Osgood is an owner, he's not here tonight. That's one I know of. I mean, sounding like you know who all of the owners are. The majority.
Well,
What
and
are-
I
Well,
know
and
that
you-
Matt, well,
I'm sure Karen can assist. I mean, we can put a list together and get a list out to as
So
many
we
of the
can invite
landlords as
them, we can't
possible.
make them come,
right,
but we can,
Well, Matt
we
probably-
certainly.
Matt probably has that too now.
Your tax office, I don't know if you're allowed to use it.
No,
No.
no.
That's, we talked about
Gotta be
that, we're not
careful
allowed
with that
to.
text.
We're not allowed
Too
to.
much sensitive information in there.
That place is sacrosanct.
Oh, are you keeping it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna vote to table?
Well, do you
I
want to do
think,
it
I think
now?
somebody can make a
Of
motion
Marcy's
right
in
now
there.
Yeah, I'll
to
send it
take
to you.
the ordinance off the table so that they'll be
I'll do it
comfortable
later, I don't wanna be
leaving.
on
They
my
don't want
phone.
to hear the rest of the stuff, I presume.
Probably not, yeah.
Why don't somebody make a
So you wanna
motion?
make a
Somebody want
motion?
to make a motion to?
Okay, I motion that we go ahead and table this and put it back into committee.
Second.
Let's also address the chain link fence.
Okay, so we're talking about tabling the chapter 152 to the Mariemont Code?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And giving it a new assignment to take another look at
Give it a-
chain link fences.
Okay.
That one that was put into,
And rental.
So to clear, we've seen on the agenda currently in rules and law is fences related to corner properties, not the chain link fence.
The chain link fence was,
The appropriate place
Randy
for
said
it.
he would.
well, code book says zoning stuff, zoning laws.
Yeah.
And
Well, Marcy,
Is that a yes, you're moving it?
So,
Good
yeah,
times.
So I was just
okay.
trying to clarify.
yeah.
So, Randy, I will work with you to figure out how to coordinate, Marcy, as you, to just coordinate to get this done, so, with the appropriate way. And then we'll make it happen. Thank you.
It's being moved. Thank you.
specific to the chain link fences,
Other than about 152.
right? Not that.
Yeah. Does anyone else wish to address council on any other topic? Are we all talked out on this? We're all good? Bob?
Come on, Bob.
No?
Bob.
Well, I just want to make sure before we move on.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about how the process works in terms of things get sent to committee and then there's a posting, how things get posted and stuff like that?
We'll do it.
Well, but
I think we just muddied that more than clarified
You
it.
know what I mean?
Well, but that's the process. We don't have another way to do it.
Right.
Randy, do you have a copy of the chain link fence stuff as well? Perfect, okay. Then I'm not gonna worry about that.
I didn't know
Oh,
that
yeah.
everybody in the
Yeah.
village gets.
Not everyone.
Copy of both.
You have to put your name, you have to request to be on the email list.
Okay.
And we keep trying to encourage people. We kept telling.
Thank you, guys.
Mariemont next door?
Yeah, no, Mariemont.org.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No, well.
Well,
We won't pass it
a
either.
little. We're going to talk a little.
Just, we're gonna ask you guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming.
Oh, that's a tough deal. That's a tough deal.
I know, I was gonna say
Don't let
Marcy's
15
got it.
years go by.
You never write, you never call.
Yeah, this is what we have to do to get to see you. Yeah, that's true. I like your jacket.
Got it.
Karen, thanks for being so nice.
Brad is the owner of the first building that you see as you come west to east on Wooster Pike, as you come into the village. There's a flag flying, and John owns the next two buildings.
So,
I say they own me.
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
right,
all
thanks
right,
you
take
guys.
care.
Thank you.
Yeah,
See you,
take care.
Dennis. Well, you know how to clear a room.
Yeah. Yeah, way to speak up.
Very efficient.
Okay, so since we've had this little exchange, do you wish now, Rob, to give this explanation about how committee?
Well, okay, do you want to do that? Because you had
Well,
it's
I mean, we're
miscellaneous.
kind of in the midst of it.
I thought we were trying to explain to them what
To
the
them, yeah,
process
for
is,
their benefit.
but now they're gone.
They're gone, yeah,
So we can just wait until the miscellaneous comes up.
okay.
Yeah, let's get this.
Yeah, there's probably got to be a
Straightened out
better way,
first.
though, to let the people know what we're
Well-
talking about, you know what I mean?
Again, the law just says all we have to do is post it on those
Right, I
5
know
boards,
that,
which is
yeah.
not enough.
Maybe.
But that's why we try, that's why
Yeah, we can go.
There's 2 different email lists too, also, so.
And it's on the website. I mean, we do encourage people to, occasionally gander at it.
You know what, though, I mean,
Okay.
how many times have we come here in council to vote on ordinances, and then people show up because they knew nothing about what
Yeah.
was going on,
Yeah.
they didn't know about the committee meeting.
It's,
All right, let's move along here. Motion, or, well, any questions regarding the bills? We all looked over the bills. We all good with the bills? If so, let's have a motion and a second to pay the bills.
So moved.
Oh,
Second.
Were you about to ask a question?
Nope.
No?
second.
A second? Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown
Aye.
Knight? Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, pay those bills. All right, Tony.
I tried to shorten these down.
Appreciate
I put more in the attachment section, so you don't have to read those.
Yeah, we chatted about that.
All right.
Sorry.
From the Finance Committee, we're going to propose changes to salary ordinance. The Finance Committee met on Monday, January 18th, 2022 at 4:00 PM in Council Chambers to discuss the annual salary increases for Mariemont employees. Present at the meeting were Finance Committee members Rob Bartlett, Kelly Rankin, Marcy Lewis, Mayor Bill Brown, Joni Van Pelt, Allison Urick, Chief Rick Hines, and John Schuerberg. Salary data was collected from a number of neighboring communities of similar size to see how Mariemont salaries compared for similar roles. The goal of the committee is for Mariemont to be in the middle of the salary range. Attached are 2 documents which show where Mariemont stands relative to the other communities, as well as an attachment with the proposed increases. For full-time and part-time employees, the Finance Committee is recommending a base increase of 3%. For those roles that were not in the middle of the salary range, adjustments were made to the percent increase to move the roles closer to the average. Ohio is also increasing the minimum wage by 50 cents per hour. As such, all the swim pool roles are being proposed to increase by 50 cents an hour as well. Respectively submitted and signed by Rob Bartlett, Chairman, Marcy Lewis, and Kelly Rankin.
All right, report. Motion and a second to accept the report.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Discussion, any discussion? Sorry, jumped the gun.
So we're not paying that pool anymore, are
No,
we?
but Joni had a good point. We should update it anyway, just to make sure it's up to date with the Ohio law, you know, the minimum wage for the Ohio law.
Right.
So,
And-
but you're
and I-
correct.
And I think there was a part of that contract that said that the swim team would be paid, the village would pay the swim team. Coaches,
Coaches.
I'm glad you said coaches.
coaches, yeah.
Paid play.
All right, I mean, you can look at Rob's done a pretty good job here laying it out in the chart what the increases and things are going to be. Any other questions? Rob, any comments?
Nope.
All right. On roll call, Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight.
Aye.
Dr. Lewis.
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right, we'll accept that report.
All right, the next report from the Finance Subcommittee regarding Operations Officer and Task List. The Finance Subcommittee met on Thursday, January 13, 2022 at 3:00 p.m. to discuss the Operations Officer role for Mariemont. Present at the meeting were Finance Subcommittee members Rob Bartlett, Kelly Rankin, and Randy York, and Mayor Bill Brown. Mr. York made modifications to the previous description for the village administrator role to address specific needs of the village. Attachment A is the final version that was agreed to by the subcommittee. We agreed to call the role an operations officer. The role will be part-time and will report to the mayor. The role will have no direct reports. Based on other roles in other communities, we believe the pay could be up to $32 per hour. If council is in agreement with the role description, the next step will be to post the role and begin to accept applications. The subcommittee would then work with the mayor to schedule any interviews. As part of the role description review, the subcommittee also discussed there are a lot of actions or activities that do not fall under a committee, but which still require follow-up by either the mayor or a council member, and that these items should be tracked and reviewed until they are resolved. The subcommittee is recommending that a section be added to the standing council agenda called Task List to capture these items. Either the mayor or a council member will be assigned to each task. The person will then decide what the target date is for completion, similar to items that have been assigned to a committee. Attachment B is an initial cut at the task list. The final recommendation of the subcommittee is that at the first council meeting each month, the items in the task list are reviewed by the mayor and council, and at the second council meeting each month, each item that has been assigned to a committee be reviewed via a verbal update. The subcommittee believes implementing this process will help ensure that the items are being addressed in a timely manner. Respectively submitted, signed by Rob Bartlett, Chairman, Kelly Rankin, and Randy York.
All right, you've heard the report. Do I have a motion and a second to accept?
So moved.
All right, any discussion
Well, you
here?
get a second.
Can I would like to ask, could I get it in just a short amount of time, the background that led to this position?
Well, we originally had a village administrator role. We posted it, we interviewed people, and then it was Randy, Bill, and myself. And we came down to a person, we had a recommendation, but because it had taken such a long time, the person accepted another role. So we've gone back, and now we've looked to try and narrow the scope a little bit of the role. And again, call it out as a part-time role. The last time it was a village administrator, wasn't a part-time role. So, and part of that scope was, you know, again, nobody was reporting to this person, and it's going to be just really helping the mayor out with some of the items that are follow-ups. Did I
You
catch?
see the, I mean, you see the amendment A. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of a lengthy list of some of the items that this person might be engaged in.
Plus, we're bringing in Ken Geis to do some of the things that we thought maybe the administrator would
Would do.
do.
Along with Ohio Plan meeting.
So your thought was that it should be so the part-time piece was driven by Ken Geis and, the other consultant, not financials? This is
Both,
just,
I think both.
I think financial was a consideration as well.
okay,
Full-time administrator was very expensive.
right, yeah,
This gives us, in a way, I mean, this gives us a way to sort of put your foot in the water, see how this is going to work, so to speak. There's a number of things on this list that could be very helpful to me. And, I'm more than,
To all of us.
to all of us for that matter.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
it's, in that regard, I think it's,
I just have one question about one of the items. Is your question adequately answered? Okay. Assist the mayor in the preparation of the village annual budget, providing regular updates throughout the year on the status. I mean, isn't that something our fiscal officer should be doing? Especially, no offense to Tony, but I'm just saying, especially as that role evolves with Eli's transition and,
well, no, that's a very good question. And we've had this.
Definitely been a topic of
We've had this
conversation.
discussion around a lot. In part, I am trying to evolve that role, I guess, of quote-unquote the fiscal officer. Tony does a great job with what he does
Right.
and what he does.
and that's why I'm asking,
And
because I
I-
know that that's happening.
No, that is happening. I mean, it's not, this is not about Tony. Tony does
I
a fantastic
know,
job.
that's-
I would just like to basically have a slightly more comprehensive look at the finances on a month-to-month basis, and someone to sort of possibly restructure the data so that it's easier to look at, know where we are financially at any given moment in the village.
I understand that. My question is that this person's job or is that the fiscal officer's?
Well, I
job?
would assume that, I mean, obviously, this person is gonna have to get a lot of the data
Yeah, it would be
from Tony.
involved, I believe.
Yeah,
or the
so I
fiscal
mean-
officer- Whoever the fiscal
It's
officer
getting,
is would be
it's
involved.
getting it so it's in a consumable form. That's what it's all about.
Better way of putting it.
Yeah, I
Better
think with the
way
new
of putting it.
software, we're gonna be able to do this a lot better, because we've got the appropriations in there, and then you'll be able to look at
Right.
each month where you're at
Yeah.
compared to what you appropriate for the entire year.
Exactly, yeah. What our revenues are, what can we anticipate them being, yeah.
So one other point, is this position based on any other position? Was it modeled after position? Like, and in my experience, a lot of times there's a lot of undone things, so you try to put them into one space, into one position, and that normally doesn't work, right? I don't know if that's what happened, or if we have a position here that is modeled after another position in municipalities, we know it's a standard, or if this was a kind of, it normally is, there are derogatory terms for the job that nobody, people just don't do, and that
Get
it
that
gets
guy to
assigned
do
to
it.
that one
Yeah.
job.
Get that guy to
Yeah,
do it.
it's not, we're not setting ourselves up for success if that is what we did here versus model it after something we know is successful at another municipality.
I would think this is a little bit like an assistant city manager, like in Milford. Milford has an assistant.
Or associate.
So it's not the city manager, it's like an assistant city manager in Milford, like I said.
Okay, and so do we
But it's
have,
not-
could we get that job description?
Did not get that one.
Because I would recommend, this looks to me from, if I look at it, it looks like we just threw everything that's not being done into
Well,
a list of responsibilities.
I would say that what happened was, we started with the village
Yeah.
administrator, which is an even longer list.
Right,
And we pared it back.
right. The administrator, though, oversees a lot of that stuff versus executes. This person is an executor and supporting you,
doubt.
Mayor.
Well, but I think the village administrator in a smaller community like ours does do more executional stuff than you'd have in a place like Milford.
Fair enough.
That's why they have city manager and assistant city managers. in
Right.
Bigger communities like that. This, again, when we started with the village administrator, it's more like what Fairfax has.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we started. We have their role description. And then, again, we went through the process, well, yada, yada. Didn't get the role, person we wanted, so now we're paring it back from what we had before. That is the process. That's what the
And I
process
think a large part of the success of whether this works is finding, you know, a qualified person, number one, of course, but a person that, you know, I'm comfortable working with. See, I'm somewhat excited about, you know, making this work. And I think the essence of it working, and, you know, is this a perfect model? I mean, do we have it completely worked out? No, probably not. But, you know, I'm the kind of a guy, I think that, you know, adjustments can be made, you know, as we go forward. And we will work into, I would assume, you know, what is most beneficial to the community. I mean, that's what we ultimately, I think, are striving for here. And so, you know, the attitude of wanting to make it work, I think, is essential.
But Susan, I would agree with you, it's a long list, I mean, even knowing where we started. And I kind of made the joke to Randy, I was like, you left off walk on water.
And the halo.
So, but I,
And water to wine.
Right.
that should be
Where's
right
the
at the top of the
wine?
list. But you know, the other thing too is knowing, you know, where we are, that we have kind of
Yeah.
started some of this process with Ken Geis, that some of this stuff can be, you know, they can work with Tony to develop the data or the forms or whatever. You know, I think that'll allow Bill and, you know, whoever he works with to search with this, to prioritize. You know, I think we can all agree that grant writing is a big one. You know, so.
That's a unique skill set versus some of these, like, there's just, you put a lot in a part-time position and one person and having a diversity of skill set. So, you know, if there is, I'm willing to support it, but I'm nervous about it. And I think, I want you to be successful too, Mayor. I mean, that's the thing. So, you know, if grant writing is the priority, that's a different skill set than an assistant administrator, often. I mean, you may find somebody, but if, it's two different skill sets.
Right.
So you can't find that in one position, part-time position, at least to get that job done well. That would be or you're not gonna find that frequently. But
Well-
that said, you know, if you have somebody in mind,
No, we don't have, we're gonna be, you know, we're gonna be.
Right,
Yeah.
the next step is to post the role.
To post it
Yeah.
and interview and, you know, see the talent that we get.
Yeah.
Well, I guess to your point, see what's out there.
And see what's out there, yeah, kind of a thing.
right, and so I guess this does not make it clear to me that we have a clear vision for this role. It feels like a grab bag role. But if you guys are comfortable hiring, because it might be you have a grant writer in there, and it might be you have an assistant administrator in there, and it might be that you have somebody that's really good at policy in there. And I'm just saying, it's not clear to me what you're
the
saying the
priority.
village needs with this proposal.
Well, I mean, it's also not clear to me that what you're describing is available in any one person. I mean, you think that that's available in any one person? If
I
we were
don't-
to
I don't.
completely define it differently?
I'm willing to support this tonight, but I'm just saying that I don't necessarily think we're setting ourselves up for success with just this laundry list like this. I think thinking about what you want the role to do and making that very clear, and perhaps prioritizing some things would.
That's the key.
Yeah, we can clearly, I mean, and I know, like
Yeah.
grant writing and things like that, you're right, that's practically, other than economic development, it's practically at the top of the list.
That is a very different person.
I would
Yeah.
actually say, find the grants first.
Okay. Yeah, well,
We don't even know where to go
Writing
search for
was
some of
one
these
thing,
grants. So
getting it-
finding the
yeah.
grants,
Well,
and then writing it is another part
The
of it as
first thing
well.
you have to do is have the projects, then you find the
Agreed.
grants.
Agreed.
Yeah.
There is a cascading, I agree with you, Marcy. So-
Right,
So I think you bring up a good point, prioritizing, because again, this is the finance subcommittee, we can go back and prioritize, and maybe lump some stuff together as well.
Right, and if revenue generation is what this person's job is, that is not what I read here.
Oh.
If the priority is revenue generation, relative, like grants and outside income, that's not necessarily what I'm seeing here. I mean, and it may be, and it may not be, and I'm saying I want you to be successful. So, you know, whatever that looks like is fine. And again, I'm happy to support, I'm just supporting with a hesitancy,
Sure.
because I don't think this particular piece sets us up for success, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
I think the goal more of it is as an efficiency standpoint than revenue generating.
Yeah, right.
So then efficiency is different than grant writing.
Well, we want grant writing for sure.
Okay, then that's one kind of person.
In the
Yeah.
list of priorities.
So, but again, I would, If you
Yeah.
read the village administrator role for Fairfax, she does all that stuff.
She manages all that stuff.
Well, but she has a fiscal officer who reports to her, and that's,
Yeah.
and, you know, and an admin person.
And
That's
I'm
about it.
assuming that there's a economic development.
She does. It's pretty lean.
You're talking
So-
about Fairfax?
Yeah, Jenny. So it's,
So perhaps there's a model.
I
In
mean,
the t-
this is a pared down version, because we did have a job description for the village administrator for there. We've pared it down a little bit, so it's actually a little bit less than what Jenny does in Fairfax.
So, well,
So,
It makes
but
me
I think you
nervous.
bring up a very good
It
point about
makes me nervous,
the
yeah.
prioritization, you know, maybe
what
lumping
the
some
kind
stuff
of
together
person
and then
you are looking
prioritization.
for, yeah, and I'm still learning what the village needs, but those, you know, efficiency, revenue generation, all of that doesn't necessarily come in one part-time
Right.
body.
Right, right. Well, like I said, I mean, you know, this is gonna be a role that I think is gonna be, you know, worked, or, I mean, looked at.
It's gonna be,
massaged.
it's gonna
It'll evolve.
It's
gonna
a
As
work
we
in
go
process.
forward, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It'll evolve. We're not.
We just don't want, and I think Rob and I talked about this, you know, 6 months from now, say, oh, it failed, we don't need a village
Got it,
administrator.
yeah.
That's what my fear is.
Yeah, or you don't
Yeah.
have too much money, we
I
can't
think-
afford it, you know, that kind
Yeah.
of thing.
The
Okay.
mayor's, Bill's totally behind this,
Yeah.
I'm behind it. Yeah,
Perfect.
it's not ideal, but I think it's
Yeah.
a great start.
So perfect can't be the enemy of good here. All right,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right,
It's very well put. Yeah,
Okay.
I wanna add, if you don't mind, I wanna add one sentence in here. It would be the last sentence in the second paragraph that says, "The subcommittee would then work with the mayor to schedule any interviews." I'm good with that, but then I think it should basically go on to say that essentially the mayor will then, at some point, make the recommendation as to who we're going to hire.
Well, I thought that's why because last time we did this, we did it as a group. You and Randy and I did it together, right? And then we made a group recommendation to the council as well. I was assuming we'd follow the same process as we did last time.
Well, yeah, we will be following that somewhat, but what I'm trying to get at here is that it's very important to me that basically I have the final say as to who this person's gonna be. I'm the guy that's gonna be working with this person.
Yeah.
I must get along with this person.
Don't disagree with that.
Yeah,
Don't disagree with
so-
that. Well, but again, of course, at the end of the day, it's gonna be mayor appointed, council approved too.
No, see right there, Rob, you do that, and then basically it's like, hey, Mayor, we don't care what you say, because we're gonna come right along behind you and have our way.
No, that's not necessarily true, but it's just, it's part of.
Not
it's part of how we
necessarily
do-
true, but
it's
definitely
how
it
we-
could be true.
It's how the village administrator role is laid out as well. You know,
We
all
didn't
the-
hire
all
a
these,
village
all the roles,
administrator.
all
We
the
didn't
roles are
hire
like
that. That
I know.
I mean, that was a work in progress.
Zoning
We didn't do it
officer
that way.
was the same way.
What?
Zoning officer was the same way.
The building officer.
Zoning
Zoning
officer
officer.
was the same way.
I
So-
don't work with the
so-
zoning officer that close. This person is gonna be,
So Bill, you're
What
gonna
do you
have,
look at me?
you're a critical person who has to have, you're gonna have to say, yes, this works. But I think,
I'm gonna have to say, yes, this works,
yes, I can work with this person. Yes, I can work with this person.
right?
So, but again, council's gonna have to approve, because we're gonna have to say, we have to set aside the money for it and everything else. We don't have that.
Council can approve, of
Yeah, yeah.
course. Council can, what I'm saying here is, I'm making the recommendation. You're not.
Okay.
Agreed. Well, I think we all
Right.
agree with that.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm-
yeah.
I agree.
If it does, if this person doesn't work with you, just.
Yeah, this isn't gonna work. This is gonna go right
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
you know what, if this,
Right, but it's-
if I don't get the proper person
Yeah.
that I feel comfortable with, not gonna work with.
Right.
No, after I make the selection or the recommendation,
Yeah.
yes, then of course council approves.
Yeah, we
That's
have
the
to.
I just don't want you coming along behind me saying, Bill, you know, we don't like your recommendation, well, here's ours. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay. Are we all good with that? Okay, so we're gonna add that one little sentence in there about the mayor making the recommendation.
We need somebody to move in second to amend the report, please.
I so move we amend the report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Sorry.
All right, Mr. Bartlett.
Aye.
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight. Dr. Lewis.
A little too excited.
Mrs. Rankin.
Aye.
Mr. York.
Aye.
All right. All right.
So are we saying that we're going to go ahead, or are we saying that you're going to go back and whittle your list?
No, I think we're gonna reframe it. We're not changing the list. We're just gonna try and prioritize it and things like that. And maybe, again, lump things together, but I don't think Bill, I don't know about you. I didn't see we're taking anything off the list per se. We're just gonna prioritize the list.
Yeah.
But do you want it, it's still on the agenda?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
we still got to go through the interviews and everything else and
Okay,
until,
and I'll just change that title a little bit to operations manager.
perfect.
All right, well,
And
now that.
then, and then going forward too, we'll have that task list
Well, I
added to
was gonna
the.
say, yeah, going forward here, before we move off that particular, are there any, this is the task list?
The first cut, yeah.
Yeah,
this is the first
everybody's
cut.
had a look at it, and, yeah, okay. Okay, well, I mean, it's, all good.
Yeah, and again, I think the next thing then will be whoever's name is here, come back with the target date, you know, what's the target completion date for that thing?
Okay.
Well, okay, is it time to ask questions about these specific tasks, or is that not appropriate at this point? Because I was looking at it, I had some questions. Okay, like, for example, the bell tower bathroom improvements, wouldn't that run through the Health and Rec Committee? When they take a look at that and come back with a recommendation?
I'm sorry, did you say the bell tower bathroom improvement?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just updated Randy on that. It is in Randy's committee.
Okay.
But he could come in here when, next time to give a brief little report on it. Isn't that what we're after here?
Yep.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah, we're
I
after an
think that-
update.
Yeah.
So actually,
I thought
you're
that
saying,
was on mine.
it's in your committee, so we can actually take that off the list then, if it's in Randy's committee. It is in Randy's committee.
Yeah, been there.
Well, it says future study bell tower restrooms. I guess that encompasses this? Because I didn't know if there were some short-term things you were working on, or?
Well, I mean, like, you know, again, I've already given this report, but basically, you know, we've gotten estimates. It's kind of in limbo at the moment because we're waiting to hear from the parent group as to whether or not they want to spend the money. But we're ready to go. I mean, we've got good estimates. We talked with good electricians.
So is the recommendation gonna come from Randy's committee then?
Yes.
Sure. It's on here. I mean,
Okay,
that.
okay, so we'll strike it from the
Yeah.
task list then, if Randy's got it covered.
And then, the relaunch of rental inspection program, I mean, that's kind of tabled right now, right? So would that come off the list?
Well, I think
it stays, but I think.
Yeah, I
we
think
just-
the relaunch of the rental program is different than the code book itself per se, because then there's actual implementing what's in the code book, you know?
Okay,
Well, the relaunch could actually be part and parcel of meeting.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
But that's why we had to
Oh,
update
right.
that ordinance, so we
Yeah.
could start.
Start.
So until we update the ordinance, we can't start.
Okay.
Right. And I think, you know, the target date, I would put in like February 29th, 2022 for relaunch of the rental inspection program.
No, but again, that's where each
Is there
person,
a
the person.
February 29th, 2022?
no,
Then put it down.
no, it's
Put it
2024.
3 readings, so
Right,
that's probably
right.
more like,
Well, but this is this, I mean, I would think this is to submit something for council to start to vote on, right? That's how we do it in the committees, right? The committees are, once you give it to the council to vote on, then it comes off your list in
This
terms
year,
of
no.
your responsibilities.
20 and 24.
Sounds like a lot
My
of.
brother's a
bookkeeping
leap year
to me.
birthday.
That's good. All right, are we good? Are we good? All right.
So, Marcy, did we get all your questions?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I need my hand held on this. Okay, so are we, so these tasks, how do we determine what goes on the task list?
As it goes along, I guess, as a council and as a mayor, you know, if we identify things, we say, hey, it's a follow-up, but it doesn't fit into a committee, let's put it on the task list.
Gotcha. So if it goes into committee, it comes off the task list.
Yeah, yeah.
this is
It's
kind of
hard
all
to,
up
it's-
until it's assigned to a committee, if that makes
See
sense.
it worked on.
Okay,
Yeah.
so,
well, there's things that can get done outside of the committee
Yeah.
also. There's work.
Sure.
and then point of clarification. So, because, so we don't want to have, so for example, I mean, I don't know how long this stuff has been lingering in committees, but, so we can have something linger in perpetuity in committee. It would never, it just would linger there.
Well, I think we're trying to avoid that.
So then,
I came
yeah,
on
right,
council, I did not know this was my to-do list.
right,
All this stuff was sitting there, I didn't, rules and law, we're supposed to get that done.
right,
Because this one's been on here since 2018, so I didn't think it was that important.
Yeah.
yeah.
But, I'm sorry, there's a reason it's on here, and I was surprised that we glazed over this, every council.
Well, it kind of,
Yeah.
things do that.
So I
mean,
didn't
Yeah.
know, so we do, so it's, sorry, it's 2 task lists then. This is the outside committee task list, and then the agenda will have the current, sorry, thank
Yep.
you, thank you.
Right, so this
I'm
is
like, why are
kinda
there
like-
one task list? That's
Right.
why, okay.
This is kind of like the task list of stuff that's not in a committee, but we need to be cognizant that it needs to get
Okay.
done.
Got it, thank you, that was
And
point of
Rob, you
clarification.
made this up, right?
Well, I worked on it with these guys.
Guys, yeah, because that's
Yeah.
like one remark. Down there under person accountable. What do
You just have to,
Hey, buck stops
Mayor,
here,
mayor,
buddy.
mayor,
That's what
mayor.
your sign says.
we should,
Well, but that's the thing, is because all the other stuff
It was
comes from committee.
autofill.
That would be.
I know, it's just, all
Copy paste.
Copy
No,
paste,
no,
copy
I'm
paste.
good with it.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
right.
And I would say that too, like the finish work on Murray Path and submit invoices to ODNR. I mean, I think that would go through the Health and Rec Committee
No.
too.
No.
No, what? Hell no, I can do
Okay,
that.
all right.
Well, no,
All right,
that should be, I mean, Chris or somebody should be doing that.
But
Okay.
at the mayor's request.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
You know, 'cause-
that's the deal. It's
Right.
not you doing it, but you
So,
Following up
allocating
with
it
the
to get
appropriate
done.
people.
You're
Follow up with the
accountable
appropriate-
for it getting done.
Yeah.
so then how does this get populated with the date,
Bill comes back and tells us what he thinks is the right
Okay.
date.
Or he says it goes into this committee, or,
at council, so, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Give you an update or tell you where I am.
Well, yeah, and that's, again, once a month.
Yeah.
So wouldn't the swim pool thing also be in the Health and Rec? Because that's where the swim pools lived the entire time?
Well, but this is actually like implementing the contract, so, because Joe did this before, where there's a whole list of items in
Yeah.
implementing the contract that the Health and Rec Committee can't do. It's gotta be people, you know, because like, Jordan reported to Bill. And so, you know, he made sure that it was being run properly and all the things were being done. The Health and Rec Committee can't do that, like making sure it's being run properly.
But,
So
but
it's-
they could make a recommendation on what to, how best to fix the leaks at the pool. I would think.
Well, the leaks in the pool would be, yes, that's something for that one.
Okay.
Well, Bill's already been working on that.
well,
I
yeah,
mean,
that's
already-
one, that's just something that with Joe leaving and me taking over,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we were down there today.
We were
with-
down, we spent.
Good, we had better news today than before today, so.
Yeah, an hour and 15 minutes standing in that cold weather.
Oh,
So
wow.
we earned our pay
Okay.
today. The implementation
all
of the
12
new.
cents of it.
Yeah, all 50 cents of it, yeah. The implementation of the new contract.
Here, pass this down.
We've already
Bill.
implemented the contract.
Well, no, but I think the implementation is actually
Oh, you mean?
The execution.
starting to execute
Yeah.
it, making
Yeah,
sure
okay.
that they're following the contract and that they have the right
Yeah.
staffing and yada, yada. Remember, again, Joe had a list, well, actually, I think the school commission too, they had a list of, hey, we need to make sure this and this and this
Yeah.
is being done.
Okay. Are we good here?
Yeah.
Let's move along here. Tell
Yep,
your last.
nice work.
Yeah, last report from the Finance Subcommittee regarding CDBG grant opportunities. The Finance Subcommittee met on Thursday, January 13th, 2022 at 3:00 PM to discuss CDBG grant opportunities. Present at the meeting were Finance Subcommittee members Rob Bartlett, Kelly Rankin, and Randy York, and Mayor Bill Brown. Hamilton County has grant money available via the Community Development Block Grants, CDBG. The projects need to fit certain criteria in order to be eligible for the funds. The subcommittee has been reviewing several projects in the village and believes the best projects to submit for CDBG funds would be painting the rest of the lamp posts in the village. The lamp posts around the square were painted in 2021, and fixing any globes. The amount of grant money that would be available is in a range of $26,000 to $29,000. Also, any lamp posts that are on Wooster Pike could use our highway improvement funds. Mr. York is also looking to see if any funding would be available if we moved to more energy-efficient LED bulbs, as well as seeing if individuals might be willing to sponsor the painting of a lamp post, hopefully via the Village of Mariemont's foundation that the mayor is working on. Developing a plan to paint the remaining lamp posts is already in the Public Works Committee. As such, this subcommittee is recommending that the Public Works Committee take the lead on developing all the details and submitting the necessary application to receive CDBG funds for painting the rest of the lamp post in the village, along with seeking any other potential sources of funding. Respectively submitted and signed by Rob Bartlett, Chairman, Kelly Rankin, and Randy York.
All right, you've heard the report. Motion and second to accept the report, please.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
And you reviewed the criteria, right? So you selected the project based upon the alignment of the criteria?
Yes, we actually had a couple of meetings with the people from Hamilton County Planning and Development. Two
Okay.
different sets of meetings with them, and they took us through all that kind of stuff.
Perfect,
Yep.
thank you.
You want to say, I mean, at the last meeting, we sort of did a bit of a shift in projects, to shift some of this stuff toward the pool and the lampposts, I believe, and off and Button-Becker.
Wait,
Do we
but
not?
that's
Yeah.
not this,
Do we
that's not
not?
this. That's
Oh,
not the
that's not
CDG,
this.
that's not CD, that's the mini planning.
Oh, that's the
Mini
mini,
grant.
yeah,
That's
okay,
mini-
okay.
Yeah, mini plan grant, so that's
Okay.
different.
Yeah. All
So
right.
that's why this will continue to, Joni, this will continue to exist in that subcommittee because there's still the mini planning grant that we're doing the work on. So there's another,
And that's due in April?
yes, correct.
Are we all good? Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, we'll accept that committee report. All right, I think we're over to miscellaneous, and I think we've, the annual Outstanding Citizen nomination awards, of course, are due March the 10th? Yeah, March the 10th. Start coming up with those names.
And it can't be any employee of the village?
No.
Contractor or otherwise?
No, or the sitting mayor. I'm sorry to disappoint.
How about council members? Can it be council members?
No, we're employees.
Oh, that's right, we get paid.
Yeah, you get paid for this. Okay, recommendations
Lots of
for
money, right?
nominations for the village strategy
lots of money.
session. Now, I know Rob has sort of assigned us various categories for these. I know I've got mine.
Well, no, I didn't assign categories.
I thought we had it kind of broken down into categories.
You're right, but I didn't assign
Well,
people to go find. I mean,
right.
you knew somebody who could fit one of the categories.
Okay.
I didn't assign, is anybody who has any ideas for any of those?
When are these going to be due?
Well, March 5th is when we have the
Yeah.
date, when we're meeting with them. We want to meet with these people at least, I think a week in advance, right? By the end of February?
Yeah, I would.
I would
let's-
think we'd want to get their commitments.
Well, yeah. I'm saying, I'm backing into schedule.
Oh, sure.
We want to meet, we want to have a meeting of this committee a week before that we meet with Ohio Plan. So we need to finalize, in,
The names and.
yeah. Ideally, it'd be great by the first meeting in February to finalize names if we can.
First
So that,
meeting,
well, that's
Council
3
meeting.
weeks.
February 14th.
Yeah, that's the next meeting.
Yeah,
February
that's-
14th.
It's 3 weeks from
Three
today.
weeks from today.
Hey, I've got mine.
Oh, I know. You've got a good one.
Yeah,
All hands
I got a
on
good one,
council
right.
members.
Okay, so we all agreed on that, more or less?
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
So come back, I guess, or does
Send them
anyone
to
have
you.
any names? Huh?
Send them to you, which I've done. I'm
Sure,
not-
feel free.
okay.
I'll be happy to collate them and share them.
Okay, I can send mine on and.
But yeah, please, at the next meeting, let's have names so that we can start to, because that meeting, we should sit there and say, okay, let's identify, now let's go find out if they're willing to do it, because if they aren't willing to do it, then we need to go find somebody else by the second meeting in February.
Okay. Okay, I think we're all good with that.
Got it?
Yeah, I think we're all good with that.
That's the timeline.
That's the
Yeah.
time.
I don't want to spoil your beans here, but do we need 2 council members there?
You have something?
Let's get, what do we do? Let's get our list,
Yeah.
and then let's look at it. I'm not sure, because we know, we know what we want. We want to hear from the folks that aren't here. So maybe the mayor and 1 council person, maybe that's enough.
Could be, yeah. I agree with you.
All right,
Let's get the
let's-
names. Let's get the names and we'll see.
Yeah,
what we see.
yeah, you're right, because we can kind of collate through the names and see what we have in that group.
Yeah.
I think it could be a good group. All right, explanation on how committee assignments are assigned and tracked. I think did we already cover this?
Well, no, but I think one of the things we've sort of slipped away from, and this includes me as well, is putting a target date on each of the items that are in the committees also. So, that's one of the processes we agreed to before was every committee chair should come back and say, hey, I've got whatever, X, Y, and Z in my committee, and I'm gonna target to get X done by whatever, end of March, and I'm gonna target to get Y done by the end of May or whatever. Again, it's up to
Don't
the
put a
committee
year
chair
on it.
to come back and say, here's when I wanna get these things done. I'm targeting to get them done.
Okay.
Just so we're not bugging them all the time. It's like, okay, if you have a target date and it's not until, June,
2023.
it's like, okay, we got some time to get these things.
Is everybody good with that? You want a target date?
Well, I mean, if
think
the,
so.
our target date, just to clarify, is determined by the chair of the committee, okay, as obviously agreed with the other members of the committee. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
I got a feeling there's gonna be a lot of revision in that, but nevertheless, it doesn't hurt to put a little something out there.
Let's have a target date to shoot for. And then again, we'll start once a month. Everybody can go through and just sort of give a verbal, hey, here's where I stand, or
Yeah.
whatever. So
Okay.
it's not a written thing, it's just a verbal.
Yeah. Well, we kind of tried this, I mean, it was,
We tried to do once
I
a
know,
quarter,
sort
we
of
did it
fell
one
off.
time. We sort
Yeah,
of-
I know. Well, it wasn't a bad idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good on that. All right, resolutions. Tony, please.
All right. First one, to appoint Betsy Bybee as a member of the Pool Commission for the calendar years 2022 and 2023.
All right, that is looks like the 3rd reading, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
Okay, we have the 3rd reading. I need a motion and a second to adopt the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Wait, do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Excuse me. Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, we will adopt. Tony?
All right, to reappoint John Bentley as a member of the Architectural Review Board for the calendar years of 2022 and 2023.
All right, you had the third reading. I need a motion and a second to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Second, Mr. Bartlett?
Aye.
Mrs. Brown Knight?
Aye.
Dr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mrs. Rankin?
Aye.
Mr. York?
Aye.
All right, Matt Ayer is next.
To appoint Matt Ayer as a member of the Architectural Review Board for the calendar year of 2022.
All right, that's the second reading. Any discussion on this? I mean, I don't think we can get or find a better candidate than Matt Ayer. I mean, I'm 1,000% behind this, but that's just me. I probably shouldn't be offering that kind of an opinion in here, but nevertheless, I will.
Cat's out of the bag, Bill.
Cat's out of the bag now. Yeah, I mean, he's a perfect candidate for this. Any other comments about this,
I'm behind this 100%.
He's a good man.
other than taking exception to what I just said?
Well, 1,000%, that seems a little extreme.
That's a lot. It is
That's
a lot. I might want to scale that
You
back.
should spend more time with him.
Yeah.
I know you're watching
He's
that.
very, very knowledgeable of so many things. All right,
All right.
where are we? Authorize the adoption
Yes,
of
the last
premium-
one is to authorize adoption of a premium-only insurance plan for health insurance account.
All right, that's the second reading. Any questions regarding that? We all know what that is. Okay, we'll have the, and I forgot to say on the Matt Ayer thing, we'll have that third reading next time, and we'll have the third reading on the premium-only insurance plan. All right, the ordinance.
All right, the first one, to delete in their entirety sections 151.115 and 151.116, solar heating, cooling, and hot water systems from the Mariemont Code of Ordinances, and to include new section 151.115 through 151.21, solar energy systems.
All right, that's the first reading. We'll have the second reading next time.
All right, next one, ordinance to amend section 151.105 to address invisible fences in the Mariemont Code of Ordinances.
All right, that's the first reading. Second reading next time.
The last one, ordinance amending section 151.091, temporary portable storage units and temporary portable toilets of the Mariemont Code of Ordinances.
Again, first reading. And the last one we've tabled, so I think we're good. Any final thoughts?
Yes, Mayor, I would like to just address situation involving a couple of our officers, a Fairfax officer, the other night on a fire that,
Yes.
on Watterson. I'm sure you guys saw in the news, the heroic act of Officer Adam Geraci and Officer Kaminsky of the Fairfax Police Department. There was a fire there, people trapped inside. Officer Geraci was the first officer on the scene of the fire, and he located a lady inside that was handicapped in a wheelchair. And through heavy smoke, intensive flames, he and Officer Kaminsky and then Officer Hayes showed up as quickly as she could and assisted, but Officer Kaminsky and Officer Geraci were able to pull the lady out of the house that was on fire, where she was trapped in her wheelchair, and just absolute heroic.
Yes.
I would just like to commend his actions and heroic actions of Adam Geraci and Officer Kaminsky. And we will be, I talked to Chief Bronson from Fairfax today, and we're going to do a joint effort to commend the officers for their actions. It's definitely a valor type situation, a
Yes.
bravery type situation. They put their lives on the line to save somebody else. And I got a call at, it was about 12:35 Thursday morning, and when my phone rings at that time of morning and I see it's dispatch or one of my command staff, I know that it's not good. And I was advised that Officer Geraci had taken on a lot of smoke, and I said, well, we need to get him to the hospital, get him checked out. So I left and went to Jewish Hospital where he was at, and luckily he was treated and released, and is doing fine. But I can't say enough about their heroes. Definitely
Chief,
heroes.
did they have any protective gear at all?
No other, I mean,
They're
yeah,
just-
a police officer, yeah, you don't have time to
Okay.
get anything.
I
He
just, I'm just
He was,
dumbfounded.
if you saw it on the, I believe
saw it, and
19
it's-
carried it,
yeah.
he was, I mean, he was gagging with the smoke, but it didn't stop him. I mean,
No,
he-
I saw
He
the
said,
footage, and it was
he said, I
amazing."
could not leave that lady inside that house.
Right.
It didn't matter what it
Yeah,
took.
the
so
determination and valor was amazing,
It's unbelievable.
yeah.
So how are they being honored?
I'm sorry?
When and where are they being honored?
That's still being worked out between Chief Bronson from Fairfax and myself, and, but there will be a time that they will be honored
Calm,
here
cool, and
soon.
collected.
And I'll make sure that everybody knows when that time comes.
Thank you.
And I will be, you know, I sat on the Hamilton County Police Association Executive Board, and, you know, we give out Valor Awards every year, and I will be making sure that, that they're nominated for that, you know, at the end of, latter part of this year.
Well, Chief, is there anything that we can do? I mean, we're doing council chambers, any part of this?
We can. I know Fairfax wants to do something in their council because it was at their fire.
Okay.
And, but yes, I think we, but like I said, I talked to Chief Bronson today, and we're gonna work out all the details and make sure that we honor them the right way.
Okay, well, you and I will talk, because I mean, I would like to be able
Absolutely.
to do something. You know,
Absolutely,
council
yeah, we
chambers.
will definitely do something here too, but I believe as far as the awards being presented, we'll probably do that in the Fairfax County meeting, but everybody here can definitely, and I would urge everybody to be a part of it.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, quick question. So Joe had sent to all of us the, asking for an update on the Murray path, especially like, it sounded like we paid Pinnacle for the water permit, but then we had to pay it for ourselves, and then submitting those invoices to ODNR. Do you know where Chris is on that? Do you?
No, I don't. I'm gonna be honest and say I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I've looked at that, I've seen that, and I've been distracted with other things, and I will follow up.
I know Chris has asked me for a couple of canceled checks
Checks.
last week, and I got them to him. so.
Yeah, because it just seemed like we may have given Pinnacle, I don't know if it got factored in, that we gave them money for the water permit, and it went we had to pay it again, the second check, and.
Yeah. No, well,
Seems
that
like-
we were aware of.
Yeah,
That, right.
But just,
We're not gonna
just
pay 'em
going
twice.
through all that stuff and making sure. And then, like I said, the second thing is getting reimbursement from ODNR would be great to be able to
Right.
get that back up too, so.
All right, are we good? Are we good?
Hey, Bill, just, well, I'm wondering if we should go, okay.
Yeah, no, go
So,
ahead.
the trash contract. We're starting some conversations with the local government, Center for Local Government.
Right.
And there's a seminar in a couple of weeks, so if we could put that in Public Works Committee,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah,
That's my
no,
only
we can do that.
request.
Yeah, sure. I know it's coming. When does that contract come up? Soon, right?
End of this
Sometime-
year.
End of this year.
Oh, the
But-
end of this year.
But they get the ball rolling pretty quick.
Yeah, right,
Figuring
okay.
out your
Yeah.
requirements.
All right.
And-
So we signed a 2-year contract with them, is that what we did? Oh, boy, time goes around.
Well, it's a 2-year contract with, you can re-up it for like a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
And there's an automatic escalator in there right now, so,
Yeah, and that
Um,
escalator might be a higher escalator.
yeah. So, yeah, we're just starting to work with Center for Local Government.
We'll talk about escalators, and what are we doing about the lawn contract, the grass contract? You talking about that?
Yeah, it's in the committee.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
talked to Sherp last week about getting something going on that.
Okay. Okay. We good?
Find that thing.
We're adjourned.
Aw. Hey,